The outbreak. It happened so quickly. The world was not prepared for it, let alone Texas. In Texas, it started in the bigger cities like Austin. Commuters brought it back to the suburbs. Commuters like Jimmy Cooper.
Jimmy, I am warning you! No!
They turned quickly and started to attack and perpetuate the outbreak.
There seems to be some commotion coming from
Those that could chose to run, to leave populated areas to find safety. Safety from an infection with no known cure. Later to be diagnosed as OPHIOCORDYCEPS UNILATERALIS, or the cordyceps brain infection. If you enjoy this video, remember to like. If you are not subscribed, make sure you are. And if you are, but would like to support my dream of becoming a full-time content creator further, visit my Patreon page and support my work from just $1 per month. I'm the Patient Wolf, and this is The Infection, the Law. Shortly after the outbreak, the World Health Organization announced that over 60% of the world's population was either dead or infected by CBI, and desperate attempts to formulate a vaccine had failed. The infection's introduction to the United States was blamed on tainted crops from South America. Wherever it came from, it brought about the end of society as we know it. The government ceded control to the Federal Disaster Response Agency, or FEDRA, a branch of the American military who enforced martial law in an attempt to contain the infection. After disbanding the government, they set up quarantine zones to reduce the risk of infection to the uninfected. They guarded against this with extreme force. Those inside the quarantine zones have a choice: live by the strict rules of the military or face the world unprotected.
Seems like more people are getting infected.
That just means more people are sneaking out.
Freedom at a cost, and most knew the cost. If you became infected, you turn within hours, and within weeks, your mind is completely under the influence of the infection. Its sole purpose is to perpetuate itself. It does this through saliva, as they are bound to attacking anything that will further that goal. Eventually, the infection will kill the host, and the dying body releases spores, terminal to those that inhale them. With no cure, most know what they have to do: to take their life before they turn or have someone do it for them. Stopping the infection in its tracks, one less chance to spread. Science has known of this infection since first identified in 1859. But before the outbreak in September 2013, it only affected insects. The Cordyceps infection is a genus of fungi and mainly preys on ants. The ants' behavioural pattern changes. They leave the order of their nests, as if controlled, and fix themselves somewhere with a temperature and humidity ideal for fungal growth. The fungus thrives from inside, pierces the body, and growths form. The ant dies within days and releases spores. From one ant, this process can devastate entire colonies. The Cordyceps has mutated into numerous species that affect other insects. In 2013, the infection mutated and jumped to people. The fungus has the same endgame, but the human host can live much longer, and the transformation develops in stages. In 2013, the first infections were propagated mainly by bite injuries. Like the insects, as the infection takes hold, the mind becomes overwhelmed and slowly loses the ability of independent thought. The mind is controlled until their only thought is in furthering the spread of the infection. They attack healthy hosts on sight with a tenacity that will not end. After infection, stage 1 of this process, these are called runners.
Damn runners came out of nowhere. What am I supposed to tell their families?
The infection does not have complete control, and their attacks are sometimes less predictable. They are known to shut down in a numbed, hunched-over state as their body attempts to stave off the infection. When they attack, it is involuntary, and they often do so in numbers. The infection takes hold internally, and the eyes are the first things to be affected externally, affecting their eyesight. They also start to bleed from the orifices, and the face starts to contort. Sometimes the infection does not advance from this state. This is dependent on myriad factors, most of all, environmental conditions. With time and the right conditions, the infection could progress. Stage 2 can take place as quickly as weeks after the infection and last up to a year. These are called STALKERS. At this stage, the body is no longer fighting against the infection. They have a greater strength and speed than a runner, but can be a far more ferocious and cunning enemy. Using cover and the element of surprise makes them much more dangerous as they look to hunt you down. After this stage, the fungus has pierced the skin, especially around the head and face, and forms growths that start to impede the vision. After a year, those growths start to impede the vision further until they have completely enveloped the face. After this has happened, the host begins to develop echolocation abilities, and this is stage 3, also known as clickers.
They see using sound, like bats. If you hear one clicking, you gotta hide. That's how they spot you.
Their prolonged exposure to the fungus has elevated their strength above that of the average human. They emit clicking and screeching sounds to locate movement. The fungus that has enveloped the face also acts as an armor protecting the brain. Bullets will degrade the armor eventually, but will take multiple shots. An arrow has a much higher chance of piercing the armor. When provoked, the clicker will become highly enraged and flail towards its victim. Unless you are highly skilled, the clicker will overpower you if within reach. Due to their impaired sight, they are slower than runners and stalkers, so running away to lose a clicker if discovered is a necessity.
Seeing how there was a clicker, they've been gone for a while.
A select few of these infected will go on to stage 4.
Oh, that don't sound good.
What the fuck is that?
Bloaters.
He's been infected for a long time.
If conditions are right, it is estimated to take from 10 to 15 years to reach this stage. The type of fungus that has enveloped the head of the clicker has now developed over the whole body. Strength has dramatically increased, and that fungus acts as armor and can withstand multiple shots from high-powered long guns. Luckily, they are slow-moving, but make up for that by throwing mycotoxin projectiles which grow on the body on specific patches. These sacs explode on impact and burn the body. A strategy in mitigating this is to aim bullets at these patches to take away this option for the bloater. Bricks or bottles do not faze the bloater, but as with all infected, fire is particularly effective and will temporarily disable the bloater so as to have time to pump with bullets. There is thought to be another type of infected, not dissimilar in size to the bloater, but able to move far quicker. The SHAMBLER. Ellie at least has not been exposed to this type, as they've thought to only been made possible by environmental factors towards the west coast of America. The SHAMBLER are rumoured to charge, looking to release gaseous acid clouds that not only burn the skin but restrict visibility. They release this cloud on dying, and other infected use this to their advantage.
They'll kind of chase you down and try to get towards you and then burst and leave behind one of these lingering corrosive clouds.
Little is known about the SHAMBLER, but this is evidence that there could be more types of infected out there, evolving in relation to the surroundings in any way they can to further the spread of the fungus, because that is their main objective. The fungus uses the human body in the best way possible to spread more of itself.
Hold up. Spores.
Many don't leave stage 1, as the fungus decides it's best to kill its host and release the fungus via spores that it hopes will be inhaled.
There's our culprit.
Body's not that old.
When it is time to do this, the host will find a corner in an enclosed space and the fungus grows from the body, attaching the dead host to a surface before exploding and spreading those spores. Those without masks know they have no chance. The infected are a constant worry for survivors, almost as much as other survivors.
Man, I can't wait for those things to be wiped out.
Before this moment, Ellie may have held the key to this hope.
The doctors tell me the cordyceps, the growth inside her, has somehow mutated. It's why she's immune.
An MRI of the brain shows no evidence of fungal growth in the limbic regions. We must find a way to replicate this state under laboratory conditions.
On this occasion, this was made impossible. So the infection still spreads and still produces life-threatening forms that those uninfected must avoid at all costs. Like the infection, the information on the infection is ever growing and evolving. This video will be updated when more info is provided. If you found this video helpful, leave a like. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are. And if you would like to contribute to my dream of making this content full-time, visit my Patreon page and contribute from $1 per month. I'm the Patient Wolf, and this has been The Infected, the Law.